Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Shiva, and I'm excited to talk to you about a topic that's becoming increasingly important in our digital world. As designers, we have the power to influence how users interact with technology. And with that power comes the responsibility to make ethical choices that respect user privacy. Imagine this, you're browsing the web looking for a new pair of shoes. You find a website that has exactly what you're looking for. And they even offer a 10% discount if you sign up for the newsletter. You think, why not, and enter your email address. But what you don't realize is that by signing up, you are also agreeing to share your browsing history and personal data with third party advertisers. The fine print was there, but it was buried in a wall of text that you didn't bother to read. This is a classic example of a dark pattern, where the design of the interface tricks you into giving up more than you intended. Today, we'll look at how dark patterns operate, especially in privacy contexts, examine their real world impact, and explore how we can design for genuine trust instead. What exactly are dark patterns? Formally speaking, dark patterns are design techniques used in websites and apps to manipulate users into taking actions they might not want to take, such as buying products and signing up for services, or in this case, sharing personal data. These patterns exploit human psychology and user behavior to achieve the company's goals, often at the expense of the user's best interests. What makes them particularly insidious is how they exploit our cognitive biases, those mental shortcuts our brain take. We are not talking about poor design here. We are talking about deliberately manipulative design. In 2022, a report by the European Commission revealed that the prevalence of dark patterns had grown even further, with 97% of popular apps used by the EU consumers displaying dark UX patterns. This upward trend highlights the increasing reliance on these tactics across industries, even driven by a desire to maximize conversions and outpace competitors. Also, a 2019 report from Princeton University revealed the prevalence of dark patterns. The researchers analyzed about 53,000 product pages from 11,000 shopping websites and found that 11% of the sites surveyed featured dark patterns that were aggressive, misleading, and potentially unlawful. You have to know that dark patterns are not present in user experiences by mistake. They are carefully crafted to appear during a certain moment of the user interaction process. Sometimes there are design errors, and by mistake, the interface or user flow happens to benefit the company and confuse or mislead the user. But when companies realize this creates a benefit for them and then intentionally keep it that way, it becomes a dark pattern. Before we go through some of the most popular and recognizable dark patterns, it's essential to distinguish dark UX from bad UX. Bad design is a poorly designed website or a product that doesn't meet users' needs unintentionally. Dark UX is a dishonest design. It's crucial to know that dark UX patterns don't result from poor design. They exist with a mission to persuade users into actions instead of satisfying their needs. Moreover, customers usually don't notice a negative user experience because of a smooth flow. Um, Let me see. At this point, it's common to think, why would companies use them in the first place? And you won't be surprised to learn that the answer is money. Industries generate more profit by creating a user experience that manipulates users to buy more, stay longer, or invite their friends to use their platforms. This usually only works in the short term, often at the expense of creating a frustrating experience. People remember bad experiences and negative emotions rather than positive ones. And let's discuss some of the most common dark patterns in UX and what to do instead. This is one of the most common dark patterns. Confirm shaming means appealing to emotional blackmail to persuade people to confirm or stop actions from taking place. It's okay to ask users if they are aware of and wish to proceed with their decisions. However, the wording and the way that is presented can quickly turn into a dark pattern. For example, the platform Duolingo sends you an email with their signature pet, an owl crying. This is one of the most universal yet effective communication methods. Showing sadness or vulnerability. We know an owl can feel sad because we are leaving a service. Most importantly, we know the owl is not even real. However, there is something that goes beyond logic and goes straight to our emotional core. According to The Verge, they have even redesigned Duolingo's signature pet over the years to widen the apparent facial expressions and cause an emotional reaction. Second one, we see the Roach model pattern when actions that benefit the company are sometimes intuitive, enticing, and even pushy. Conversely, actions that benefit the user and not the company are complex, ambiguous, and tedious. Companies often use this pattern to lure the user into taking an action by confusing or manipulating them. They make this process extremely smooth and direct. Once they perform these actions, it's hard to cancel or undo them. In most companies, subscribing to a newsletter is easy, straightforward, and pointed out with a big CTA. However, unsubscribing is done via email, and users need to find the word unsubscribe with a small gray font that goes easily unnoticed. Even after users try to unsubscribe, they are asked to confirm several times and fill out surveys that discourage them from continuing this process. Sometimes they even need to make a phone call or even go to a physical office. Amazon's users have had issues when canceling their Amazon Prime subscription, um, with deleting their accounts as well. In fact, the company recently had to simplify the process required for canceling their Prime membership to meet EU regulations. The next one is pre-selection. And we see this dark pattern often in conjunction with the Roach model pattern. With pre-selections, users aren't even enticed or manipulated into taking actions. The platform already pre-selected these actions for them. Again, this pattern applies to actions that benefit the company and that users won't usually choose by themselves. With pre-selection, users end up subscribing to newsletters or getting premium travel insurance without noticing. For example, when the company creates actions that only benefit them and not the user, it should be completely up to them to agree to that action after being informed of the possible benefits and conditions. With this another dark pattern, companies manipulate the user into giving their billing data or information, sometimes even promising a free trial or a discount in exchange for a product or service. With time, they start charging a recurring billing or subscription with no chance to opt out. They use wording and manipulation to assure the user they won't be charged anything right now. They start charging money after a month or two when the user forgets the subscription. In UX, it is important to give the user control and freedom to the actions taking place on the platform. If these actions involve a billing, it's even more critical. This can be fixed easily by emailing the user to let them know they will start charging money 3 to 5 days before the end of the free trial. Intentional misdirection is the use of visual or text content that creates an outcome that is ambiguous, vague, or even worse, the opposite of the desired or expected outcome. Let's think of an example. A user wants to cancel a subscription to a newsletter. When asking to confirm this action, a button with the word cancel may have two meanings: either confirm the cancellation or cancel the cancellation. This can happen by unintentional or poor wording or visual indicators like color or shape. Companies use friend spam to manipulate users into giving them social media permissions and access to their contacts. They often disguise this action as inviting your friends or similar actions that seem to offer a positive outcome to the user. In 2013, LinkedIn received a lawsuit for harvesting some of their users' contacts, going as far as sending an email on the user's behalf to all the people in their email contact list. This could go anywhere from their boss to a friend from high school. Similarly, creating fake urgency is another typical dog pattern in UX. Dark patterns focus solely on the interest company while disregarding the user's interest. However, they use wording and emotional manipulation to present this urgent notification as something valuable to the user. Most social media platforms nowadays create this fear of missing out by hinting that something is happening within the app, but without explaining in detail what that means. A good example is a notification along the line of your friends miss you, or you have been invited to an event to encourage you and find out what this is. Once you click or tap on the notification, you are inside the app and it can show you endless content and make you stay for hours. We all know and understand that companies want their customers to spend as much time as possible on their apps, but this gets out of scale often, and in reality, it invades the users' lives while providing very little value. Nagging is, in other words, not accepting no for an answer. The most obvious example is suggesting premium subscriptions or newsletters, but without allowing the user to refuse permanently. Replacing the no option with a not now, not yet, or maybe later removes the choice from the user to benefit the company. The user eventually may accept those conditions because they give up in a way after the platform has nagged them once a day, for example. And now, how to avoid dark patterns in UX design. If we want to avoid dark patterns and deceptive design, we need a good combination of research and common sense. For example, for research, it's essential to be aware of the competition. What are some good examples of UX from similar platforms? Do their users complain about UX dark patterns? How do they convince users to subscribe to newsletters or buy their products or services? Also, user testing is a great way to detect design errors that can potentially become dark patterns, and also to see how users react to the wording interface and user flow. For example, suggesting a premium subscription is too pushy or the wording makes them feel manipulated. Um, Here are some common sense tips to avoid dark patterns in UX. You should be transparent with the user to earn their trust and give them control and freedom to make an informed decision before taking an action. Also, test and iterate your product until there is a balance between the users and the company's best interests. Follow the best design principles and usability heuristics to keep the design user-centered and avoid common mistakes. Create and design patterns that benefit the user, even if it harms the company. At some point, the user wants to feel valued and heard, and that they control the platform, not the other way. There are many ways to make the user feel valued and heard, even if it doesn't directly benefit the company. Um, YouTube included two reminders to take a break and close the app, for example, every 60 minutes, and also a bedtime reminder to stop using the app between 11 p.m. and 8 p.m. For example, the YouTube mobile app includes tools to manage time spent on the app. Even though the platform encourages the user to spend more time, these reminders help balance the user's experience and avoid burnout. With these strategies, users will leave a genuine positive impression. This leads to satisfaction, positive reviews, and profit in the long term. Also, it helps to create more sustainable websites because it reduces content on a website, emails, newsletters, and unnecessary information in general. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. Every design decision we make is a moral choice. When we design interfaces, we are not just arranging pixels, we are shaping behavior, influencing decisions, and either building or eroding trust. We all know that companies want to make money by offering products and services, and there is nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference between inviting the user to interact with the platform in a certain way while still giving them a positive experience and pressuring the user to do things that do not benefit them or punishing them for acting in a way that does not benefit the company. Companies can find several reasons to avoid dark patterns. By following best design practices, they can build a positive brand image, maintain customer trust, and adhere to legal and ethical standards. In a long distance, it promotes transparency and a long term focus on a customer satisfaction and loyalty, ultimately benefiting the company's growth and sustainability. As UX designers, it's not easy to balance out company profit and positive user experiences. Sometimes we don't even notice the design process we create causes frustration and even makes people lose money. But by learning more about dark patterns, we can understand further how to avoid them and enhance the user experience. After all, we can always strive to be more transparent and ethical to our target audience, and why not to ourselves as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very common topic because it comes up so often, all these dark patterns that we keep seeing everywhere. So it was great to go through kind of all the different categories and sharing some advice as well. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So yeah, just to reiterate, if you have any questions out there, please write them in on whichever platform you're watching, and I'll put those questions through to Shiva. But I'm going to start with one, and it's around. I guess it was early on in your talk around Duolingo and the emotion that that kind of generates through their character. All sales are emotional, so is there anything really bad with trying to tap in to end customer emotions? Because that's what salespeople do. If you ever have a one-on-one meeting with a salesperson, they're going to try and make you like tap into your emotions. So is that really that bad?
I think that it's not right. I mean, for marketing, we target customers' feelings, but we are aware that we are aware of these dark patterns. For example, I know that a customer go with the default checkbox. They rather keep it that way instead of changing it. So if I add like insurances, extra fees, and those kind of things, while I know they're not going to read it and they going to proceed with that, this is not ethical.
Yeah. So those kind of like default options, I often find myself having to deselect the marketing emails. Um, but I guess just on the emotion, is it wrong to try target? Are we not, with all of our headlines and everything, is all copy not in a way emotional?
As I said, in marketing, we should understand customers, users' feelings. But for example, if I want to make you feel bad about something, so I make you stay, well, that's not right.
Yeah, I guess it's making you feel bad versus
Yeah.
trying to tap into your hope. Brilliant. What do you think advice do you have if let's say you're working as either a researcher, designer, or developer, and you're getting these requirements because somebody has said, you know what, we're going to make a lot of money if we do this.
Yeah, that's right. I was also in this position. Once I was working in an agency, I was working both with the marketer and the founder, and we were working on the content that we wanted to display. So they wanted to make sure, for example, the user clicks on the wrong spot so that they open an ad or they click on something. And I explained to them that, for example, you may, for example, collect a couple of clicks for someone, but after a while they will get, upset. For example, when you open the booking.com and it says, for example, just 5 rooms is left, it's a lie. But at the same time, it makes you feel anxious. So on subconscious, we understand it. Well, although we see it, but subconsciously, we understand that they are tricking us. And after, well, they ruin the relationship after a long time. So you may for now get a couple of clicks and it works for you and earn something, but after a long time you will lose that user.
And I guess like you used two examples during your talk. There was LinkedIn, which is kind of famous for that harvesting your whole contact list, and Facebook as well. They're quite common with their notifications and things like that. But the reason they're still doing those actions today is because they worked and they helped them to grow their platforms. So is it a trade-off that your growth will outpace your like churn from the people who don't who get annoyed with your platform?
um, for example, Uh, we know that Facebook collects lots of data. We were all of us, I think we were the users, but after a long time we put them away and stop using them because of the bad reputation that I have right now. So I think overall after a long time some people are aware of these kind of things and some people don't care. So still you're going to lose some of your maybe loyal users. So it's still the best choice is that you stick with with ethical choices so you don't ruin your brand reputation like this.
Okay, and it's good advice. And moving on to the freemium model, because you brought up that as one of your patterns, and it was that because I see this a lot where you like a product and they're like, oh yeah, you get a free month, but you still have to give us your credit card details, because they're signing you up behind the scenes and hoping you forget. But are they hoping you forget, or is there something there? Because if they just give it away free the whole time, they'll go out of business. So how do you, if you're a company and you're trying to encourage people, what's the best pattern?
um they that you actually let them use some of your features for a limited time or a couple of your features, and if they want more they pay for it. But if you make them to give you their billing information and then later charge them, you know it's going to cost you even more, because if they don't want it they would like call the services to cancel it if they like subscribe to buying an item and you receive something, you have to again pay for the postal, pay for the package, and it's going to cost you even more after a while. So it's better to give them freedom of choice.
Great. And then I guess a future gazing one, if these patterns have been around for so long and they're still around, what do you have hope for the future?
Yes, actually, there's a website called Hall of Shame. So it publishes news about what like big brands are doing with their talk patterns. Even like you can see them, for example, Amazon have the most dark patterns in their websites, or like beauty products and those kind of things. So I think you would ruin your reputation after a while, or at least that people who are sensitive on these things, they would find out and it wouldn't look good. So yeah.
Okay, so it's the long game. I guess the challenge, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, just to kind of stir things up. If I'm looking at it as a business person and I see a Hall of Shame and it's got Amazon and it's got Facebook and it's got like LinkedIn, I'm thinking those are the big boys. They're the people. So I would actually, in an opposite way, think, you know what, these patterns work. So, is there a risk that that might backfire if the people that are being called out are actually incredibly successful?
Um, Let me see. That's a really good question. Um, for example, if I know, I mean, I link my contacts to social media accounts to find them. If I know, for example, one day LinkedIn is going to email them, I would never do this. So it may be they built this feature to help people like me to find the people that I know. But if you have that feature but may cause problems for me, I might never use it. So what's the point of building that feature? So you should be careful with what you're doing. And
Yeah,
people nowadays use social media. So if I'm upset about something about a website and I write about it, it goes viral. It ruins their reputation. For example, there was an airline and some the traveler lost their luggage and they decided to build a website paid for promotions in social media. So any person that who would search for that airline, they would receive a message saying that they lost their luggages. Do not buy tickets for them. Their help service sucks. So and after like a week, like it was in news and they found out that their reputation is being ruined. So if a user, a customer is unhappy with you, they can ruin your business
right.
reputation.
Yeah, no, I guess it's because it's becoming more aware, people are becoming more aware these days. If you're a new person without that brand loyalty, it's probably a bigger risk.
Yeah, that's correct.
Brilliant. Well, that actually brings us pretty much to time. So I just want to thank you once again, Shiva, for sharing. I hope everybody out there enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope that you'll all learn to err on the side of good UX patterns versus the bad ones.
Thank you.